Hi everybody, we're going to be sewing the Coda Quilted Coat today. This is a sewing pattern from Love Notions, and we're going to be using a double-sided quilted fabric, and we're going to be using the brand new printed patterns from Love Notions. For this pattern, you could totally use an already ready-made quilt top or a quilt that you have at home, but we got this fabric in and I love it. It's double-sided, so one side is a watercolor floral and then the other side is sort of like a jungly print. There's like little jaguars there. So I'm going to be using this fabric. The only adjustments that I'm going to be making are to lengthen it by quite a bit in the main torso section, just for my personal preference. So I'll show you how to do that, and we'll end up with a really great piece that I can wear for spring. As far as options, you can see that the pattern has a hood, it has a collar, and there's also a quilt pattern that comes with, in addition to the just typical pattern pieces, and you can get that quilt pattern online that's still available in PDF form. For anyone who purchases a printed pattern that's shipped to you, you will also get the digital version for free as well, along with that purchase. So I'm just going to be doing the basic version of this coat with the kind of rounded collar. And I haven't decided yet. I'm definitely going to do pockets, but I haven't decided if I'm going to do the pocket flap yet. So let's see how it all goes together and then we can decide. So come along. So my first step is going to be to try on a quilted coat that I made previously and see how much I want it lengthened by. Now this isn't like a bad length, I just kind of want a different style for this one, so I want it just to be a little bit longer. I'm 5'2", if that helps. And I think I want to have it hit a little bit more at my like upper thigh. So I think I'm going to add on, this is all very technical here, I think I'm going to add on about a hand length. Maybe a little bit less, maybe like right about there. What is that, like maybe, I think I'm gonna add 4 inches to the length of the coat. And I'm gonna do that by cutting the pattern pieces in half in the middle and then spreading them apart and then adding in more of the pattern piece. So I'll show you how to do that. All of the pattern pieces have a shortened lengthened line. It's this dotted line that goes across the pattern, and I'm just gonna cut that and spread it apart. I like to use STP paper to fill in when I have to put some extra length in. I don't often have to put extra length in, but when I do, I use the STP paper. All right, these side seams are just so close to a straight line. So I think when I add in this extra length, in order to true up the side seams here, I'm just gonna draw a straight line to connect them. All right. That one's done. I'm now going to move on. One consideration that we do need to make is how to treat the pockets. So if we kept the pockets as they were, they might look a little funny. So since we added all this extra length, I think I'm going to add some extra length to the pocket as well. All right, I've put a little bit of extra STP paper on here. I'm just going to eyeball it and see what feels right. So I'm going to line it up here. Like maybe like an extra 2 inches would be the right call. I think that'll feel proportional and extra roomy. We'll be able to put so much stuff in there. So here's the sleeve pattern piece, and actually these sleeves are a little bit long on me, so I am going to shorten them. So I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I did with lengthening. And I'm going to do it right in the middle. And I think what will feel right is to take away about an inch. So I'm just going to line the top part up with my mat and then overlap this by an inch. Right there, but I have to make sure my grain lines meet up again. All right. And then I'm going to take my ruler and true up these side seams. All right, it's time to cut. Before we get too far in, I want to show you what the printed pattern looks like from Love Notions. So this is what it looks like when you receive it, and you get this as well as the digital version, which also includes the quilt pattern. So this is the booklet that has all of the tutorial steps in it. It has the size chart, the fitting stuff, all of your fabric information is in here. So this is just like a nice little handy resource to have at your sewing machine with you as you construct. So I just love the way these turned out. The printing on them is just beautiful. So this is something that is shipped to you in addition to the large format prints. So these are really nice paper. It's thin, but still like sturdy. I just used our large format printer for putting together my pattern, because I didn't want to waste one of these that needs to be shipped to somebody. But this is the large format print. For Coda, there's actually 4 pages for the Coda, and they're all separate. All the pieces are separated on here with all of the sizing, in addition to the full bust option that the pattern provides. So this has all of the sizes on it, in addition to all of the pattern pieces. I know some pattern companies have their printed patterns only come in certain size ranges. Ours has all of the size ranges all in one pattern together, so you don't have to purchase 2 separately. And it also includes the digital version, so that if for some reason you need to have another piece printed, or you use this one and you don't trace it and you actually cut these pattern pieces, at least you'll still have that digital version that you could print out as needed. Fabric is pretty substantial. It's got that layer of batting and then a cotton poly on one side and then another one back here. And so I'm gonna cut everything in one layer. While I do that, I need to make sure that I am getting this oriented right. So even though this is gonna be on the inside, I still am gonna want to have this be facing the right way, because this is directional fabric. So I'm gonna want those jaguars to be with their feet on the ground. Part of the hard part about doing a single layer of things is forgetting to do that pattern orientation for the pockets. So don't tell anyone, but my pockets are upside down according to the fabric, but it'll be okay. As you're cutting through this double-sided quilted fabric, make sure that you've got a new rotary cutter blade, because it gets kind of tricky to get through all of those layers, and then you'll probably have to go over a couple of times to get the extra strings that stay attached. This pattern can be completely sewn with a regular sewing machine, but I do like to use my serger just because we have one. I do put a woolly nylon thread in with my 3 regular cones as well. And alternatively, you could just use a bias tape to cover all of the seams here, or just use an overcast stitch on your regular machine. Getting my serger ready with thread, I am going to be using that like brighter blue for my serger. I think they'll be pretty on the inside. And then for my regular machine, I'm going to be putting in some navy to go with the the navy double fold bias tape. I'm actually going to need 2 packets of that double fold bias tape because I need 5 yards total, and this one package only has 3 yards in it. And remember that I'm going to be using my printed pattern with all of the notions listed out for me handy so I don't have to get in touch with the screen. All right, we're ready to start. Step 1, after we've gotten our pattern pieces cut out and selected and we've done our lengthening and shortening, the next step is going to be to get the pockets sewn onto the front pieces. The first step is to take your pocket piece and to serge the edges. These are the edges that are going to be facing the center front, not the side seam and not the bottom. Now I'm going to take my pocket and I'm going to fold it 1/2 inch down and stitch a line here to secure. So I'm top stitching the top of the pocket edge. I am skipping the flap altogether. So after you've sewn that line across the top, you also need to fold in this inner line. We're going to sew that on to the front of the bodice. I'm going to clip this in place on the sides, but I'm going to use pins here for the pocket placement. And I'll repeat for the other side. The next step is going to be to sew down this seam right here. This is the outer edge of the pocket as it faces the center front. Next up, we're going to take the front pieces, right sides together with the back piece, align them at the shoulder seam and stitch that, and then serge. Now let's sew on our sleeve. Now that we've sewn on the sleeves, it's time to do the side seams. Now when we put the side seams together, we're gonna pin it first and then stitch and then serge, but we have now 3 layers to work with because of the pockets. So I'm gonna make sure that I've got that pocket layer sandwiched between the back and the front, and that's right sides together. And this is going to be 3 really chunky layers. So I'm going to be careful to, when I go over that with my sewing machine and my serger. Underarm, we're going to be joining another really thick seam. So what I like to do when I'm putting these together is have the seam go down on the top and then just like over on the bottom so that I don't have 4 layers all together. I'm kind of nesting them. So this side goes over that way and the bottom one goes the opposite direction, just so that we're not sewing through all at once 4 layers. Now that we've got all of the main seams done on the inside, we're going to apply bias binding. But before you finish those inside main seams, I wanted to warn you that you're going to want to stop sewing the side seams about a couple inches from the end of the hem. And that's because we're gonna put bias binding on separately for the front pieces and the back pieces. So the back piece should have one long piece of bias binding, and then the front 2 pieces are gonna have the continuation of their bias binding. And this is so that when you put it all together, it's a little bit more clean and finished. What I mean, so you see I stopped at the side seam a few inches from the bottom, and I've applied my bias tape to the front and the back separately, so that when we join these 2 together, it's going to be a little bit more, it's going to be less bulky at that join point. Because of that curve, it can kind of make things a little bit more difficult. So joining them this way will help make things a little bit more streamlined. And now the moment of truth, my Coda Quilted Coat. I love how it turned out. I really like the use of color that I've got here. I like how my pockets are very subtle and kind of blend in. And I'm so happy with how this turned out. Let me tell you about the rest of the details here. Here is my finished quilted coat. I'm actually wearing this over my Arlington sweater with a cowl, so a nice cozy outfit for today. It's like 1 degree in Chicago. I love how it turned out. This is, like I said, a double-sided quilted fabric. I did the rest of the bias binding all around the edges here. One of the features of this quilted pattern is the curved edge up to the side seam. So I think that turned out really good. I did do the bias binding around the sleeves as well, and then I'm turning them up. I do have really short arms, so even though I shortened it 1 inch, just test that for yourself and make sure they're at the length that you want them to be. I was thinking about putting in buttons and doing buttonholes, which would be totally fine, but I think I'm just gonna leave it like open like this, so I'm not gonna install buttons or buttonholes, I don't think. Maybe I'll change my mind later, but I like it right now. So this is my completed quilted coat. So I hope that that video was helpful for you so that you could see how this all comes together so easily. There's so many different variations that you can make with it. I really did think about putting a hood on this at a certain point, like maybe using like a French terry or something coordinating. But I'm really happy with this more sleek, simple design right now. But keep in mind there's also a collar version in addition to the hood and this more like curved, just bias bound, simple version. For the pockets, there also is an option to put a flap here that is also bound with bias tape, and I just decided to keep that like really simple. I could have outlined the pocket with bias tape as well, but I again just wanted something like simple and easy. And so this is my final make. And one thing that you should know is that Love Notions now is offering printed patterns. For a select few of our patterns, you can get a printed tutorial with all of the large format sheets with all of the versions and sizes that are available in the regular pattern. So if you're a person that typically sends your patterns to a printer and to get that large format A0 version, this is a no-brainer because not only are you going to get the printed pattern, but you're also going to get the digital version. So if you need to like reprint any pieces or get any other like updates, you'll always have that digital version available to you. So here are all the options that we have for printed patterns right now. We have Caprice skirt. This one's great because there are so many pages of large format files, large format pages for this pattern. And these are such big pieces. This is so perfect for spring, but also because this is a pattern that is so useful and efficient to have it printed for you. So this is $21 just like the rest of the patterns are. We have the Barrington Boxy Tee. This is just one of those really easy, simple patterns to put together. It's a great topper. You could put this with the caprice, and what a great outfit that would be for spring. We have the Lennox top and dress, another one that we picked because it has so many options and views and fits that it's so nice to have all of these large format prints ready to go. So this is the dress version, the top version, both lengths of the skirt, the crop. So everything's here in this printed pattern. Again, Coda Quilted Coat. Another topper, the Metra Blazer. This is such a great pattern to have printed out for you. And the booklet, this can seem like a complicated pattern, and we do have the full length course for it, but it's going to be so great to have this handy little booklet to help you as you sew for this great pattern. One of our best selling patterns ever is the Rhapsody blouse and dress. And look at all these options. They're all contained here in all of these large format prints. And this is just, when you think of Love Notions, it's like almost synonymous with Rhapsody blouse. It's such a touch point for all of our customers. Everyone loves this woven blouse pattern. And then lastly, we have the Melody Dolman, which is a button front top, a camp shirt with the option to tie it, and also this, what's that called, Tammy? The hem. What's the hem?
Shirt tail?
Shoot. And it has the shirt tail hem, or you can tie it at the front. So just like beautiful pieces for spring. All of them are great to have printed out for you. They're all the same price, and they're all shipped $6 in the United States. But if you're someone who likes a large format print, Love Notions has done the hard work for you. All of our printed patterns are $21 each, which is a pretty great price if you're considering all of the things that come with it. And then it's domestic shipping in the United States for a flat rate of $6. So we have, I think there's 7 patterns that are our best-selling, most versatile. We try to get like a variety of different styles of patterns, like some tops, some toppers, some bottoms. And what you'll be able to do is just load up on that, and then it's flat rate shipping. So we have a very limited quantity of those printed patterns, and this is your first chance to get those. So please just take a look at that. If you go into each of the patterns listing pages, you'll see 2 options. There'll be an option to just get the PDF version of the pattern, just the digital download, but then there'll also be an option to get the paper and the digital option, and that would be the version that is $21 for the pattern, and then a $6 shipping. And Tammy's going to be here to send those out to you. So there's a very limited quantity of those, and once they're out, they're done. So, and it might be like a year plus if we decide to do it again based on the demand that we see. So it's an experiment, but this is such a useful, handy thing to have. Even when I was like at my machine and going through and seeing that visual printed out, I didn't have to pull out a screen to get to it. It was so nice. So I hope that you take a look at the Coda Quilted Coat. It's one of the 7 patterns that we have that now have a printed pattern with it. So I hope to see what you sew later. Make sure that you like, follow, leave a comment here, and tell me what you think. Thanks for taking us along on your sewing journey, and we wish you all the best. Bye.